gun sellers, like at gun shows and whatnot. But still, his critics were out in force, giving him a hard time, especially about the moment where he was crying in the speech. And that's the part that I was like, wow, I actually sympathize with the guy. But do you mind if I hit the crying first?
No. That's
this is pretty weird. I found a U.S. News, and they lean to the right, I think, U.S. News, but there's a story saying, was President Obama fake crying? And so there's different tweets. James Woods, who has turned into a real crackpot.
No. He's been a real crackpot for a long time, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it says, Obama sheds crocodile tears and searches for teleprompter at the same time. Watch it again. Classic Obama. And there is a weird picture of Obama with his eyes wet, and he's looking for something. So then somebody else put out, when psychopaths cry, they will often wipe underneath each eye one at a time. So that picture of Obama wiping under one eye. I'm like, how do you know these things?
Because they've been told these things when they did it.
Yeah, so it says exactly.
That for me was the most amazing thing about all these.
Didn't Bush cry? Also?
John Boehner cried at the drop of a hat. But the thing that really shocked me about this whole story, of course, like all the he's faking it, rumors were coming out of Fox and the right wing hate machine. And I wasn't surprised that they were mocking the president for mourning dead children. I was surprised that they were giving up their best secrets on how they fake cry on camera.
Well, they're saying that.
You're also looking at for the fact that it really wouldn't matter what this guy did. They just want to see him fail. They don't want it. It doesn't matter if whatever. Even if Obama followed everything that the Republicans wanted him to do, they would still be against it.
Oh yeah,
every time he says anything,
I keep waiting for him to come out in favor of oxygen, so these idiots will just stop breathing and protest.
Right.
Well, they said that the head of Breitbart, John Nolte, head of Breitbart.com, says Obama touched his eyes just before the tears came. He's putting something in his eyes to create the fascist tears. And then this woman on Fox said that he was using they must have been hiding a raw onion in the podium.
And then someone else was like, no, Ben Gay is what you use. It's like, you guys know so much about how to fake tears and how to fake crying on camera. And I think that's one of the things that we're seeing so much out of these morons on the right is they represent some of the worst of humanity. So they try to pin on President Obama and anyone from the left all the things that they actually do.
Yeah.
So it's like when these people, you consider the source, Well,
what about what did you guys feel about Obama's announcements? I mean, obviously, well, I'm always baffled and I forget that you're a gun owner, Dave. So but you're obviously a sane person. So
at least in that respect.
Yeah. So do you feel? Is there anything as a gun owner, short of taking away guns, is there anything that would offend you in gun control? Like, would you say, "Oh, that's going too far"?
If there is, it hasn't been proposed yet. I haven't experienced it. There is a new law in California, which it does cause me a little concern. That basically, it's one of those things. I think it could be a good law, but it has great potential to be abused. We'll see what happens. But basically, it allows law enforcement officials to confiscate your guns on a probationary period while you're being investigated. Like, let's say, someone files charges against you that you've been harassing them or that you've threatened them. Then, yes, I believe in due process, but you hear so many stories about women who get restraining orders or that, the law can't do anything to protect someone, from their stalker or whoever's threatening them until they actually do something and until it's too late. So that's a law that I think if it is used judiciously, it could be good. Knowing how the government tends to overreact on some things, like they did with mass surveillance as a result of the Patriot Act, I worry about something like that happening. But that's one of the problems with being an American, is that it's, like Tymon often says, freedom isn't for everybody. And I don't believe that necessarily, but I do believe that vigilance is the price of freedom. So, a law like this is fine to have on the books as long as the people are keeping the government in check and making sure that it's not being abused.
And as I like to say, freedom's just another word.
What about this thing over in Oregon? I mean, with the guys over in Oregon, they got guns, they got everything they're doing. No one's going over there taking their guns from them. They say, they're peaceful.
Because they're white.
Peaceful. If there had been some brothers doing that, they'd have shot them.
Oh yeah.
Come on, if you can shoot a 12-year-old for having a toy pistol, why you got grown men over here who the public has already told you that they fear for their lives?
Yeah. Well, Tymon, not to pin this question on you. Hey, here's a black question. But do you remember? Well, Carl also. What year was it that the police firebombed the apartments in Philadelphia? Where the
1985.
That was 80 something, wasn't it? 80 something.
85.
And they went over in there and they blitzed their ass. Man.
Yeah.
Now you got to understand, they're going to try to get you with Waco, though. They're going to say, hey,
exactly.
we can't turn this into a Waco.
But that's or Ruby Ridge.
You didn't do that with Philly.
But that's the thing. Yeah, it's like everybody is saying that, well, we don't want another Waco, we don't want another Ruby Ridge, but nobody's saying we don't want another Philadelphia move, experience.
And as Tina Turner said, we don't need another hero either.
She did.
Just keep it real.
She did say that.
No, but the thing is that, it is fascinating to see how, for those who don't know, there's a group of basically woodsmen who call themselves a militia because they own guns in the woods and whatever, and they took over a federal building in the middle of fucking nowhere in Oregon. And I think part of why they're getting away with it is because they're in the middle of fucking nowhere. But I don't think it's gonna. How long do you think it'll be before we do send in some real people to stop this foolishness?
Well, I know the sheriff of the town has gone in to try and negotiate with them. He went in once, and then he was going to go in and talk to them again, but canceled that because apparently they're not bending. Honestly, I think it sounds inhumane, but they're going to have to starve them out or something. It's
well, it won't take that long because
so why we got to starve them out?
Well,
when you can you can shoot a guy with a knife, but you got a bunch of white cats with guns.
No, I definitely understand that, but the thing is, it's like I don't I mean, you know me, I don't advocate going in and shooting anybody until they start shooting.
Well, Tymon, I mean, you got to remember, all these black men, the majority of them that get shot, they're unarmed.
Yeah.
So yes, we will gladly shoot you for being black and unarmed, but if you're white and have arms, we're going to hold off. No, but the thing is,
seems reasonable.
It's right there in the Constitution somewhere. But it's in the whole part about you guys being 2/3 of a person or whatever it was, 3/5.
3/5 gets one bullet.
Yeah, So, but the thing is that. With Waco, I mean, they waited like 50-something days, and then. But what's funny is Stephen Colbert pointed out that that they actually posted a notice. They have a Facebook page for these morons, and they actually put out a notice with it by the end of the weekend, like 3 days in. They're like, "Hey, if anybody can send us some snacks."
Well, and there was one story. I haven't seen this verified, but the story has been going around about one of the militia members who took a bunch of the money that had been donated to them, went off holed up in a hotel, bought a shitload of beer. I'm sorry, you are the most awesome link.
I mean, and it's just these people's names: Clavin, Ammon, Bundy. It's like just Bundy. How perfect is that?
Yeah, more Ted than Al.
Yeah, still. But what I'm surprised by is also the reaction of people on Fox, because I started watching Fox this week for the first time, I'd say in about a year and a half, since October of 14, just out of curiosity to see what's going on. What are they riled up about? And I was pleasantly surprised to find that in the Fox universe, O'Reilly was still relatively sane, but in the Fox universe. But I'm saying that like Hannity, office rocker completely, and then Megyn Kelly though she totally lectured Ammon Bundy to shut him down, saying, "Hey, you know what? All this stuff is Supreme Court. You took it as you guys had appeal after appeal after appeal," and I was surprised she actually upheld what the Supreme Court did. So.
Well, I think what we're seeing from Fox, and this is pure speculation on my behalf because I certainly don't watch it. I occasionally catch, if you could call them highlights, that people post online. But what it seems to me is not that Fox is getting more reasonable or that they're leaning any less to the right than they usually do, which is about a 12-degree angle. Forgive my protractor. No, that would be to the left. So about a 88-degree angle. But I think they're realizing that, with everything they've helped create with the Tea Party and making the lunacy mainstream, I think they're trying to dial it back a little bit only because they realize how much they're hurting their own brand. It's purely strategic. They know that we don't want. Oh my God! We've let the beast out of the cage, and now we're becoming known as the beast. We can't do that. We gotta still be the fair and balanced folks who just happen to be on the right. I think it's all marketing and PR. Do I think they would love to see this thing, go full on and be an embarrassment to the president and to basically the Washington establishment? Sure, of course they would love to see that. But as soon as bullets start flying and the bodies start piling up, of course Fox is going to distance themselves and say, well, hey, we've never advocated any of this. Yeah, we just let other people advocate it on our airwaves. So I think they're liability and marketing. They're realizing shit. We got to do something here.
Yeah. So
I really believe that I don't know. Do they just want to cause chaos and keep everybody because. As much as you got Trump in there saying anything that Obama does, I'm going to redo it or re-sign it or whatever he's talking about. The guy's just really just talking out of his ass. Every time they ask him a question, well, what about the wall? How do you do? It's going to look wonderful. It's going to look great. He doesn't even have to tell you he's doing anything. Whereas Obama comes on. He tells you what he's going to do. He's telling you, the man sheds a tear because he's bothered by, we've become numb to people getting killed. You keep telling me the Second Amendment stuff that someone's going to take my guns. Nobody, and even explains to him, I don't want your guns, but I do want you weirdos to quit getting hold of guns. I do want people to have, mental health. Would the guys out there in Oregon be considered mentally ill?
I'm not that kind of doctor, but I would definitely be interested in exploring that further. That's and for me that's the thing with
what is that considered?
Paranoid delusional would be just my armchair diagnosis, and that's one of the things.
And that's
if you're looking at it just from like a PR sort of getting the message out perspective, is that if you're trying to say that mentally ill people shouldn't be able to have guns. But the government's coming to take my guns, and they're